Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about American freedom. We're going to talk about America's relationship to its presidents, and we're specifically today going to talk about Donald Trump and my new understanding of Donald Trump. All right, so Donald Trump is recently, David Plotz said that there were four things that happened in this century that rewrote world politics that either did or had the possibility to rewrite world politics overnight, that happened in this century already. 9/11, okay, the presidency of Donald Trump, the March 2020 problem, and the invasion of Ukraine. These are the four most dramatic occurrences. He's a Harvard graduate. He said, the four most dramatic occurrences, the things that could rewrite world politics overnight, were these four things, right? And I think he's right. I think Donald Trump's presidency rewrote world politics overnight. The biggest thing it said was that whoever leads, presence and attention and entertainment are pinnacle, right? It's not enough to have the right ideas and to be able to communicate them clearly. You have to shock people. You have to delight people. You have to make sure that you control the narrative. Donald Trump changed. I have a political science degree. They told me, Scott, this is how it's done. This is how people lead, right? I learned all this, right? And I'll tell you right now, Donald Trump rewrote the playbook. Virtually every what I learned in 1980, between 1988 and 1992 about politics, is you could just burn it into ash and let it blow away in the wind. It's worthless. He rewrote the playbook, right? And one of the things he did was he showed that the power of a global platform. And the biggest, he did so many things at once, right? So one of the things he did was he utterly changed the script about the media. He was like, I don't need you to get my words out to the people. I will tweet directly to them, right? And he did. He made the media irrelevant, right? And then when the media flapped its gums to squawk this or that, he yanked them around like yanking a bull around by a ring in its nose. He utterly dominated and controlled the narrative, right? And he did this at a level that no other president had ever done before, and he perfectly timed the ability to reach the people without any media necessary through Twitter, and he saw what was possible, and he did it, right? The other thing he did was he showed that if you win and if you deliver a chicken in every pot and two cars in every garage and every driveway, at the macro level, not at should say every but if you make the economy go burr, you can get away with a lot, right? And what you can really get away with is not only can you rewrite every value of your party, you can make the party serve you. Every other presidential candidate served their party, right? They served the Republican Party or they served the Democrat Party, right? And they were like, hey, what are we going to do next? And Donald Trump is like, I own the Republican Party. Your values are gone. Your values are my values. You do what I say. That was unprecedented. No president in the history of America has ever dominated a party as strongly as Donald Trump has dominated a party. Republican Party right now is not the Republican Party. It is the Trump Party. And if you don't know that, you are not paying attention, right? He trumps, no pun intended, he trumps the power of his own party, right? And that's completely unprecedented, right? All right. All that is February 22nd thinking. All that is before the day, February 23rd, 2022, when Vladimir Putin said, I'm giving you the caves and clubs question. 10 years from now, actually a year from now, do you live in a cave and is your most valuable tool a club? This question goes to every developed nation on the planet. What's your answer? Right? he got his answer back. We're all frightened. You win. Do what you want. Here's an itchy sweater. Right, like so. That's where we're at. Right. So that made me rethink what my opinion of Biden was, and I've stated what my opinion of Biden is now in this new caves and clubs question world. Right. Now, what is my renewed opinion of Donald Trump? Here it is. So there are some things that have not changed. When Donald Trump got in, I watched carefully, and about year 2, I understood what he was. And in my opinion, Donald Trump was productive, powerful, dangerous. Now, the biggest thing, the dangerous part was, if you were an American he didn't like, if you were a type of American he didn't like, you got the short end, period. If you were the type of American he liked, you got riches and glory, right? Like, and that's dangerous. That is incredibly dangerous. I don't think that a president should deliver for some Americans. A president should deliver for all Americans, right? But the reality is, he was powerful and he was productive. I personally, like, my world was pretty great during Trump. I never worried, like, my daughter just learned to drive, right? Every kid before that, I was like, go out, put a dent in the fender. What do I care, right? Well, give me an excuse to buy a new car. This is the first time in my life. I'm like, please, 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 protect my car. You cannot get a scratch on it, because if we lose that used car, I'm not sure we can even buy another used car, and this family will go to, for the first time ever, one car. Like I can't remember when we had one car, right? Like, and I'm like, the world has changed, right? And so basically, he was productive and he was powerful. And on day 1, America hands 3 things to the U.S. president. They're like, here's American security, here's American wealth, here's American hope, right? And Donald Trump did not drop them. What he did do was he juggled them. He went, am I going to drop it? Woo! And the whole world was like, what? It was like, he shocked the world, right? But he never dropped them. And at the end, he I caught him. And there was, it was scary as all get out, right? Because you were like, are those going to fall on the ground and crack? And they didn't. That's the issue. Security, wealth, and hope. American security, wealth, and hope. We handed it to him. At the end, he was like, here they are, uncracked. Like, not even 2 years into Biden's term. They're on the ground. They're all cracked, right? We know where they are, right? We might be able to glue them back together. Not during Biden's term. But, so I really dislike that Donald Trump was, the things he did for the Americans he liked was pretty awesome and pretty powerful. The fact that he was unwilling to extend them to all Americans was utterly repugnant, right? But I have to say, looking at how bad the world has gotten under President Joe Biden so swiftly, it absolutely makes me much more thankful about the 2016 to 2020 period of my life. And I took it for granted. I was like, oh my gosh, these tweets are terrible. And, President Joe Biden is like, you might have a lot more concerns than bad tweets. It was, it's really made me rethink my opinion of Trump. Now, I want to be super clear. This guy is never going to vote for Trump, ever, right? I'm an evangelical Christian, right? Like, a guy who has 2 divorces and built casinos. Oh, and I read The Art of the Deal, right? Flat out, he just says, flat out, you should lie to people pretty frequently. Yeah, I can't co-sign that, right? And also, like, when you read The Art of the Deal, there's no question on whose fault the first 2 divorces were. Like, if you make a habit of lying to people routinely, you're not going to be able to help. You're not going to be able to build and keep a family in a sound way, right? So like, there's not a big mystery on what happened in his first 2 marriages, right? Or whose fault it was, right? like you just got to read The Art of the Deal, right? Like it is horrific. He's like, you should lie to people. It works out great. He just wrote a book publicly stating it. I'm like, that's not a good idea. Like, you shouldn't tell people to their face in a book that you're a liar, right? Like, and then also, it's on us as the American people. He wrote a book way before he bring in presidency. I lie to people absolutely constantly, right? So I would have thought that I would never, ever, ever be in a position where I was like, ooh, I long for the days of stability of the Donald Trump years. If you had told me that I would be here, I'd be like, what? Like, no, how is this possible, right? Yeah. And I will say, I feel like I have to really dial this one in, right? And just give you 100% where I'm at. And I think I'm a minority. I'm Basque and I'm Native American, right? Well, when people, they're like, oh, are you Greek or are you Italian? And I'm like, no, I'm not Greek or Italian, And so I think I have this passing privilege that I'm not a minority, which I don't understand where it comes from. But and I know that my days during the Trump years were much easier than they should have been, right? Because I had this passing privilege. But things have gone so sideways, so fast under President Biden that, President Trump is just clearly not the worst president we've had in my lifetime. It's shockingly clear, right? Like, under Trump, I was like, man, we have these domestic problems, right? And now I'm like, under Biden, is New York going to be there tomorrow? Like, I don't know. I hope it is. Things have gotten a lot worse, right? So I really have rethought my opinion of President Trump. I think he's an incredibly complicated man. Is there something I'm missing here? What's your thoughts? I'd love to hear in the comments below. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.